FORA.tv, Idea Immersion. Visit us at www.fora.tv.
So after the book came out, I found a crucial statistic that I didn't know about before. A political scientist at Princeton named David E. Lewis, he studies this sort of thing, and he informed me that since the end of the Clinton administration, there are now, compared with the end of the Clinton administration, there are now 350 more political appointees in the various agencies of the Bush administration. And I thought about that, and it quickly occurred to me that this helps explain a lot of what we're seeing. These people are lording it over government scientists in various parts of the federal bureaucracy, whether it's the Environmental Protection Agency or the FDA, NASA, what have you. And what are they doing? Well, they're political appointees, so they're trained, they're very good at one thing, and that is knowing what the Republican base wants and likes. And they know how to reflect what the base wants and likes. They are responsive to it. The base has many components, but as I argue, the central components for our interests are, on the one hand, when it comes to the war on science, are the religious conservatives on the one hand and industry or corporate interests on the others. And they all have their pet scientific issues and their pet scientific arguments that they make on these issues. So industry is debunking global warming, debunking the risks of mercury pollution, for example, fighting over endangered species protections because they want to build on a plot of land or they want to cut down trees on a plot of land, whatever it is. And then the religious conservatives are driven more by moral objectives, and they want to undermine evolution, they want to undermine embryonic stem cell research, they want to undermine, various forms of contraception and so forth and so on. So we get the fight in both of these areas, and the political appointees who have power over the government scientists are enforcing what the interest groups want upon those scientists, and that's why these fights keep erupting and these mini scandals over science keep erupting from the Bush administration. I really think that helps explain a lot of the dynamic that's going on. But then there becomes an interesting question: where do the political appointees, or the interest groups for that matter, get their, quote, science? Because they don't go into these debates saying, we hate science, ignore science, although you could argue that might be really what's in the back of their mind somewhere. But what they say is, no, their science is wrong, our science is right, we have our own, listen to our own. That's the way the argument is structured. And to understand how that came about, I think you have to recognize that there is now an entire infrastructure that supports and augments the political abuse of science, and this infrastructure allows for an end run around universities, scientific journals, and all of the traditional scientific gatekeepers. Instead, what today's political right does is it turns to think tanks, to advocacy groups, and in many cases to a small number of outlier scientists. And all of these sources of information are making scientific sounding arguments, but they're frequently well outside of the mainstream of understanding. And not only that, they're frequently conveniently couched in such a way that they advance a particular political objective, and they're linked to the special interests. These think tank-based arguments that I'm talking about may not, probably will not ever prevail within the scientific community, but you have to understand that that is not the goal here. The goal is to influence the media, through the media to influence the public, and of course policymakers. And in so-called media debates over matters of science, winning does not require having a preponderance of the evidence on your side, unlike it does within a debate that's taking place in a scientific journal. Rather, for those who are setting out strategically to attack a particular morsel of information that they don't like for some reason, winning often means little more than creating the semblance of a controversy or a debate, or even the notion that there are actually two legitimate sides of the issue, because then they have generated doubt and they've slowed the process down, and they have effectively undermined what is generally a very robust body of knowledge.